Okay. So let's say the two of you wake up in the morning at the average sort of appropriate time of, say, around 8 o'clock or something like that, 7 o'clock, and meet each other, happen to run into each other down at the communal tables downstairs to meet for breakfast, which is served, by a large fire with plenty of adventurers and travelers and merchants sort of milling about, starting about their day. Is it safe to assume that you two want to return to the barracks this morning, as you were so asked to by Captain Baergil?
So I would just say that I would rather wait for him outside the inn, and when he comes out in the morning, out of the front of the inn, he notices that it looks like I didn't actually sleep in the inn last night.
You're talking about Vengar.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he notices I'm standing there waiting for him. Obviously, waiting for him since I'm just chilling.
Well, if that's the way you would prefer it.
He notices that on my leather strap for my sword, I have a brand new
bones hanging off
foot.
it.
It's a skeleton of a rabbit's foot, but several bones are broken off of it.
I need a perception check.
I was just going to say, Iron Lung, you're just assuming he passes passive perception check. But, okay, if that's the case, then, Vanguard, you eat breakfast alone, sort of looking over your shoulder, wondering where Iron is the whole experience. And just when you... he passes. And just when you have given up, and assuming you're heading out alone, you head outside and run into Iron Lung, who brandishes his new rabbit's foot and gives you a silent nod type thing coming out the door.
So I kind of do a double take, look at him, look back at the inn a little bit, look at the. I clearly noticed the. What does it look like? Is it just basically
it's like a skinned rabbit's foot?
It's basically the skeleton of a rabbit's foot. It's dangling on like a little piece of leather, and
Okay.
it's got a couple toes broken off of it. Looks like a hack job on it.
It's nothing really to it's nothing really to comment about other than like, interesting, slightly gross and morbid, but okay. Do you know what I mean?
So just kind of look at it, sort of a little bit unsure what to make of the situation. Now,
I notice you look at it, and I'm like beaming, proud.
Now, can I tell when he's smiling?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Or am I just terrified?
I'm gonna wait. Let me see here. Skills.
Not sure how their mouths work.
Perception 1. Ooh. You know what? I'm gonna say. Yeah, I was gonna say passive perception check of or 19. Yeah. You can figure out enough about the slight scowl on the corner of his face that that actually is a Dragonborn version of a smile.
Would that be a perception check? Or would that be an insight check?
Oh, maybe a bit of both. Who knows? Who cares?
Okay, I passed both anyway.
Yeah.
I'm using up all my good rolls here. So, yeah, I kind of smile back, and now I at this point I think we really haven't said much to each other at all.
You definitely haven't had many in-depth discussions, and if you were planning on walking back to the barracks, you would have like 10 minutes to kill on the way.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember if we even introduced ourselves last game.
I think you guys maybe had the moment, or at least the conversation about it on the way back to the inn, if not on the ride back. But if you guys...
We set our names to the horse guards.
Yeah, if there's anything you would like to discuss amongst the two of you, now is definitely the time. Let's say you're on your walk over. Okay. I'm not going to force you guys into any sort of conversation, but if there's something you think is appropriate to cover.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just curious about how he feels about this whole situation. You know, I'm pretty interested. I'm curious,
Sure, great
but
question.
I really have no idea what to expect, and he seems to be going along with it. I can't tell if it's curiosity or if he has some other reason. So I mean, I'd question him about sort of his, you know, how he's feeling about this and why bother.
No, really, to be honest, it's mainly curiosity. What little
Okay.
that we saw of the horse guard yesterday, found it interesting that one of their own men is being imprisoned in their courtyard. That was interesting, and to be honest with you, I don't have anything else right now going. So
Yeah. And
we'll see.
for me it's curiosity, and I feel a little sort of akin to the person who saved us. Just feeling like we sort of left him there, and although he doesn't seem too concerned, you know, our lives were saved, and I feel like we need to, you know, it's our responsibility to understand who and why.
Dig that.
Cool. I love it. I love it. Okay. So let's say that in that minute worth of conversation, you guys managed to flesh out some small talk and this and that. So you do. You do get to the barracks, and it's still very early morning. It's a gorgeous day despite early morning, save for as you do sort of come around the doors of the barracks. It's a very muddy and trodden area. It gets a little sort of dirtier as you head in. You find Lieutenant Graben out front in the courtyard walking some troops through some combat drills, but you spot the soldier who had been beaten the day before that you guys were just talking about, working some combat drills, but actually against two opponents, sort of manhandling them both, doing like some non-armed combat drills. Lieutenant Graben sees you and defers his duties quickly to a subordinate before inviting you quickly into the barracks to Captain Baergil's office. The beaten soldier does sort of spot you too and sort of gives you like an amused nod before tossing one of the opponents off his back and going about his business. So you meet Captain Baergil soon after in the same small office at the front of the barracks that you did previously before. He comes in with sort of the same rush and bluster that he did previously, and starts off by saying that, "Oh, I'm glad that you three," and then sort of pauses and assesses the room and goes, "Two of you chose to return. Is the third of your party is not with you too this morning?"
We haven't seen him. He seemed to come into the inn, and he wasn't here this morning. In fact, I was pretty sure I was alone.
Bagril sort of like looks to Graben, and Graben sort of like shrugs his shoulders in confusion, and he says, "Okay, 2 is as good as 3. I won't waste your time here. Usually I would never offer this sort of duty to an unsigned and unproven civilian, but I'm very short on soldiers as of late, and Lieutenant Graben has assured me of his personal witness of your performance yesterday, and it being exemplary, and that you're more than capable of handling yourself in times of combat. I'm not sure that your past, the two of you, or your knowledge of local politics or history, but I'll assume your ignorance to inform you that the Dales are quietly, if not, in fact, openly at war with Sembia as of late. Sembia, the country to our south, is a puppet state to the country of Netheril to our west. And they are slowly working their way north, capturing lands as they do, either by conquest or more frequently in the sake of Sembia, simply through purchase and merchant activities. They've already taken control of Moondale, and Tasseltail, to be honest, looks quite soon to follow. As far as I'm concerned, this is an unacceptable course of action, and all Dale citizens must do their best to prevent it. As such, I've stationed the majority of my riders for some time along the lines between the Dales and Sembia to the south. To be honest, I'm at a point where I'm stretched too thin for comfort and am short on resources, having trouble simply defending our own province. This, combined with recent reports of very brazen goblin raidings, such as yesterday's events, has put me on my heels. And this is essentially where you come in, so if you so choose. I could use a group of individuals such as yourself if you're willing. These goblins in particular aren't completely unknown to me. And in fact, I do have a rough location of not just many such camps, but probably the specific camp of your attackers making their home along the forest edge of Mistdale to the south of here. I've heard scattered reports from farmers and scouts from the group to the south. I'm sure as goodly folk, especially ones who had just been captive by them, you'd be interested in meeting your captors on more even grounds than perhaps you did last time. It's clear that you and the riders have already essentially weakened the majority of their forces, but perhaps you'd be interested in working a contract for me and go about finishing off the rest of the camp and what defenses they have there. On paper, in the name of, say, Asha Benford's defense, though privately I just find goblins in my forest revolting, and I want them done with. Clearly you'd report back to me whatever you found in the process of this experience. He sort of looks to you for like some sort of initial response, which I will let you dictate if you seem positive or negative to this action.
I just kind of give a nod, like I agree to.
Yeah, Banger, you down? Banger. Jer.
Sorry, muted. Sorry.
Okay.
So
Initial reactions.
I kind of give him a weird look. I look down at myself. You know, I'm still a little sore from the previous day,
Right.
and look a little quizzically at him. Look around at where we are, all
Okay.
these well-armed men.
He sort
and
of
say,
like notices your indifference, and before you can say anything, he sort of interjects with, I'd pay you, of course. I mean, clearly you'd be compensated for your time. There's two of you. How's, say, and he sort of glances over to the lieutenant, looks back to you and says, 150 gold split between the two of you, perhaps? Assuming you are positive in your findings and removal of the residents, of course.
I mean, I suspect that that's probably the only way we'll get back to claim the money. But my concern is more around, you know, we were 3 and now we're 2, and I'm sure that what we saw, despite your skepticism at their strength, is just the vanguard, just a small raiding party of goblins. We hardly survived the last encounter, and we're not particularly well equipped for this one either. Do you have any, you know, at the very least, bandages or healing supplies, or anyone that could come with us that could provide aid? We weren't exactly well
Right.
prepared the previous time. Although it'll be nice to be wearing our armor.
Right. Baergil sort of like sits back into his chair and like contemplates for a moment, and sort of a smirk like spreads across his face. And he looks to Graven and says, Braxis, And Graven sort of like looks at him with like a look of surprise and like shock, and he says, "Yes, yes, exactly, Braxis. It would be in our best interest that we send someone on our side to assure the job gets done as intended and to protect our investments, won't we, Graven? Yes, Braxis, you could take Lieutenant Braxis with you." And Graven sort of like jumps in to say, "Sir, I'd be happy to join that." And no, no, no. I need you here, Graven. Yes, send Braxis along with him if he's so anxious to kill goblins. We might as well give him the chance. Yes, that would do just fine. And he says, you could help yourself to whatever medical supplies you feel you need. But yes, you could take Private Braxis along with you. Graven looks like slightly disappointed, but concedes. And Baergil sort of... does that seem content? Any other questions?
So Ironhead kind of furrowed his brow a bit when Vengar talked about being undergeared.
Sorry, say that again? I didn't hear that.
I kind of furrowed my brow a little bit when Vengar mentioned not being geared enough for this trip.
Just because you're an aloof piece of shit.
Maybe just putting it there that putting it out there that I don't think that.
Okay, so you frown as a dragonborn, and the entire room thinks you sneezed. Okay, moving on. Yeah, are you guys positive to this sort of offer?
Yeah, I smile and nod my head. I was very happy to see that they offered us Braxis. Not what I was expecting, but very happy.
Right. Which actually, at this point, I'm not... Oh, no, you do know who Braxis is because you asked Graven and he told you. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. And before we leave, I just kind of ask if there's any barbarian tribes that live in the area. Because I'm just interested to know.
Are you asking Baergil or Graven or Graven, like on the way out, kind of thing?
Like right before, yeah, like as we go out.
So you're walking out, and he sort of like looks quizzically to you, and right. He says, "Well, there's no predominant, well-known barbarian tribes that really make permanent home within most of the Dales. If anything, they'd probably be more just described as raiders. Is there some specific information you're looking for, or just curious?"
Any barbarian tribes that follow the path of water, follow the river, stay near the riverbeds?
He looks like a little bit, like he thinks about it for a second, and he says, I don't know any personally, now that I think about it. Again, my knowledge of barbarian tribes within the Dales is not extensive. I do know somebody who I could ask, though. Perhaps if you reminded me about it when you returned from your trip, I might have some more information from you then, or for you then.
I'd be thankful.
Cool. So, go ahead.
So I kind of am a little bit taken aback by that conversation. Just basically feeling, oh, what is this cryptic request about?
Right.
I know this probably won't end well for us.
Right. Are you noting it, are you mentioning it because you mean to, like, bring it up, like, in conversation, or are you mentioning it just, like, you're mentioning that your character would notice that?
Well, my character, it's so the physical reaction would sort of be sort of raised eyebrow, shaking head a little bit behind his back,
verbal,
not directly to his face, just sort of.
By the way, just make sure that everybody too takes a full rest. I don't know if you've like replenished your surges or anything. I know that I just gave Jer 3 more hit points, but which makes me think that maybe you haven't rested all your surges. So just do that now. So walking back out into the muddy courtyard. Oh, did we just lose somebody? There is a problem with the call.
Looks like it's connecting.
Oh,
Hey,
he's
my
back.
computer blue screened.
Yeah, we can like barely hear you. Do you need to
Yeah, this is
reboot
my-
or?
I'm rebooting right now. This is my cell phone.
Oh, okay.